Where have you seen that before? Well, the original apparently is or was somewhere in the vicinity of Rome. This is a copy, but it's what's behind it that you might know a bit more about. So let's go and take a look. There we go. Looks as though it's seen better days, and used to be a Benedictine abbey, and I believe was one of the victims of Henry VIII and the dissolution of the monasteries and all of that. Something like that, anyway. But this, some of you will know this actually, it was inspiration for a very well-known individual, and I'm pretty sure that you'll know that person when I reveal it shortly. Okay, and it's actually on a headland. Of course you can't see that from here, but if you were at sea, this apparently is very prominent and was used as a landmark by those at sea. Anyway, so oh, I'm going to give you a bit of a clue. Okay, there's one of those double-decker tour buses. What's it say? Whitby Town Tour. Indeed, that tells you that we are in Whitby. One of those hop-on, hop-off services, you know, which have their merits, I have to say. I mean, you know, there's a time and place, I think. Anyway, here we go. Okay, to and from the Co-op, Lifeboat Museum, the Pier, Whalebone Arch, west of attractions, Whitby Museum and the Abbey. Indeed, so if you put two and two together, you do, of course, get Whitby Abbey. And very much the inspiration for, what's his name, Bram Stoker, who, of course, authored Dracula. And I should imagine that when it's at night, particularly when there's like thunder and lightning around, then this abbey could be quite intimidating, I would think. Oh, let's have a quick look on the other side though first, before we get to that. Of course it's high up, so you do take them. You can't walk. Okay, somewhere just there. See, there's a flagpole there. Where's the flagpole? Just there. That's a white flagpole. Just to the left of that, I can make it out. There's a whalebone arch, and there is a statue of somebody else very synonymous, also, well, or almost, with Whitby, and that is, of course, James Cook. He wasn't born here, he was born, well, we went to that place already. That's about 20 miles north of here, and this is where he did some of his schooling and apprenticeships, I believe. Okay, look at that for a view. Here we go, look. Whitby Abbey is part of English heritage, so if you have a English heritage pass, which I don't, then that would entitle you to go in. Okay, so over on the left, of course, there is the water in the North Sea, and of course this was a great place for people like James Cook to learn what the sort of stuff that he wanted to learn. And you know, and there were masses of boats coming in here back then to do all sorts of things. Okay, where am I going to go? You know, it's 2 weeks ago, Feast and I left Maui, and although this kind of view, you know, it's nice. It'd probably be better with the sun out, I guess. But it's not Maui. You know, that's a polite way of putting it. I mean, it's all with the sun out. I mean, now we're, you know, what are we, 12th, 13th of May. You know, but I would think during the summer months, it'd be really nice around here. Well, it's not bad now. I'm a bit nippy, but not so many people, of course, which always helps. Right, where are we? Okay, there's another of these. Lots of walking trails around if you're so inclined. There's one here, Cleveland Way to Robin Hood's Bay. 6.5 miles, if you're so inclined. I'm speculating that there's some sort of coastal trail. I don't know if it goes around the entire, all of Britain. But I dare say you could get to a lot of places, you know, if you're prepared to walk and all that. But anyway, that is the Abbey there. And probably not going to go in because you know, Feast, I want to do these things with you, and you know, I'm hoping that we'll get ourselves English heritage and a National Trust pass, and I was just about to say one day, but over the course of a few months, we you know, spend some time in the UK visiting places such as this. And of course the cynical side of me says, well, it's just a bunch of ruins, right? Which it is. I mean, you go to some of these castles and what have you, and you know, there's a lot of stuff going on inside. You know, they weren't destroyed by people like Henry VIII and minor earthquakes and stuff like that, and you know, there's a lot to experience. But something like this, I mean, you can see how it is. So the cynical side of me says, it's just a bunch of ruins, you know. But, you know, but I'm 50-50 about that as well, because sometimes, you know, you go in these places, and especially when there's not so many people around, you can kind of get a sense of what it must have been like, even if there's just, you know, a bunch of walls around, you know. Walls and no roofs and no ceilings and all that stuff. You can get a sense of what must have happened centuries ago. But of course, it's best to do that when there aren't so many other people around. And I guess now it's kind of okay, you know, if you kind of get to a place like this and you're the first one in, then, you know, that's very different than sort of, you know, going in summer and being with, you know, a massive crowds. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so just gonna get my camera out and take a quick snap here. Okay. And I have to say that there's so much to this country. I mean, I have an idea about it, but yeah, like, I mean, and this is probably the same anywhere in the world, actually. You know, you can go to a place to visit it, and you know, there's lots of things that, you know, you weren't aware of, and some of them you can kind of take with a pinch of salt. You know, and that's the case for Whitby. I mean, there's boat tours, and I think there's a ghost tour, and you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, and you could spend your entire life just, you know, going to places and sort of, you know, if you go to every single thing, I mean, well, there wouldn't be enough time. Anyway, so you have to pick and choose a little bit. Okay, so there's a bit of the abbey there, and as I zoom out, you see churchyard here. Just walk through that. It's a big one actually, and I can see the river over there. I think that's an A road over there. Not sure which one. But here, have the harbour view. There's the breakwater at the end there, and it's not Maui, is it? I mean, not that long ago, Feast and I were, having harbour views. But to be fair, that you can see how the clouds are here. As I said before, if the sky was nice and blue and all that, this would look a bit different. Anyway, and so we're a little bit closer to the statue of James Cook, actually. See, right in the middle there, just to the, there it is, kind of. So we should go and visit that. But just a quick talk about this here. Here's the breakwater. And the town is off sort of, let's go around and check it out. Places like this, there's going to be a few like, amusement arcades, whatever the word is, where you can go in and play the slot machines and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm walking over. Oh dear. Where you can sort of play all sorts of stuff. It's not going to be like it is in South End, Mike. That's for sure. Anyway, so this is a bit better here. Oh, there's a pirate ship going out. Yeah, places like this, they'll have that sort of commercial activity going on. And about 20 miles to the south of here is a place called Scarborough. Some of you may know that from a song, Scarborough Fair, I think, by somebody. But I don't know if that's where they're going. I mean, they're probably not going to many snorkeling places and what have you. But anyway, so go around here. I'm gonna try and, I don't want to step over graves. And here we go. Oh, we see just there, that is a replica of HMS Endeavour, which was the ship that Captain Cook used on his the first of his 3 expeditions to the South Pacific. So that's open if you're so inclined. So it is a replica. I mean, does anyone know where the original is? Probably some does. Oh, also, I've got to tell you this. I'm going to zoom in here. You see those bright yellow fields? Okay, now that's a, I guess there's a plant growing. We call it rapeseed, R-A-P-E-S-E-E-D, rapeseed oil. Not sure where that name came from, rapeseed. I dare say it's from Central. Oh Lord! Oh, look at that. Is that a pheasant? Holy moly! Makes a racket. That's a. Somebody tell me, is that a pheasant? Or above. That was a bit of a racket, wasn't it? And there's the pirate ship behind it heading out. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, yeah, so if you know what happened to the Endeavour, the original one, where is it? Oh, there's the replica there. And yeah, all these things are visitable. I mean, it's a visitor attraction, isn't it? It's a business. Oh yeah, I was telling you about rapeseed. Oh, the pheasant's gone. Rapeseed, some of you will know it better as canola, C-A-N-O-L-A, which sounds a bit more politically correct than rapeseed, I must admit. So if anyone knows where rapeseed came from, I'm guessing that it was a word from centuries ago, and as time went by, sort of things how words change a bit. I don't know if Shakespeare called it rapeseed. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is Whitby. And just there, I don't know if you can see him any better, is Captain. Check this right out, honey. What does this remind you of? Hey, here's the steepest bit now. Oh dear. Fond memories, eh? Love voila. Or is it la voila? I don't know. He's male, maybe the statue's female. Or the plinth is female, I don't know how it works. Anyway, but look, as if by magic, here we are. And there he is, Captain James Cook. And get back to that monument in a minute or so. Just going to swing around to where we were. And that is just there. You can make out the top of the Whitby Abbey, and then that's the church in front of it, with the graveyard. And it was about 15-minute walk, something like that. There's quite a bit of up actually, so if you're not too, like feasts, you might have a problem because of your left knee. But you know, you just have to go slow, I guess. You see the people going up there, so of course you have to go up that side and then down, and you know, on this side as well. Not so bad on this side actually. This is the north side. Anyway, and here's one of these vessels coming back. They all seem to be advertising 20-minute trips for £5. I don't really know where they go actually. I mean, I guess when they leave, they either head off to the left or the right. I mean, Scarborough's 20 miles away, but you know, 20 minutes. You know, I couldn't get there and back in 20 minutes. So, let's see. Let's see the sea. Okay, well, I don't know, maybe those boats just float around. And there's that pirate one off again, unless it's a different one, of course. There she goes. Time for a picture of that. I would think in the summer, those type of activities are going to be super busy. I mean, it is Saturday, so it's a little busier now than during the week, I expect. Take a quick picture of that. There you go. Yeah, that's the North Sea behind it. And I guess out there somewhere, the Netherlands, around that sort of way, I suppose. Yeah, so if you go in one of those yellow boats, 20 minutes isn't going to get you far. I'm not sure about the pirate boats, if that's also 20 minutes. I'm just figuring out where they go. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, the beach is just down there. There's some beach on the other, you can see it. Look at that. See that bit of beach there? Yeah, well, I think it's a bit more either to the left or the right that I saw before. But here's definitely more beach here. You know, again, on a nice day, sun out, no cloud. I mean, the water's still going to be cold though, I would think. Oh, there's a couple of guns down there. You know, of course, this is on the coast, you know. I mean, back in the day, nobody was quite sure that when the Germans tried to invade, you know, where they were going to invade. But, yeah, so all around the coast you're going to see, like, souvenirs of that sort of time. Anyway, so there's the beach. Well, you probably can't see it now. Where'd that pirate ship go? Oh, there it is. It's still making its way. Anyway, okay, so yeah, this would be pleasant enough. It's not bad now, of course, it's a bit nippy, but in the summer, it might be too hot actually. But there you go, there's the alley there. Time for another quick snap. And getting my phone up. Dropped it.
Your phone's mobile data is turned off, so I can't help you with
Right, let's go back to Captain Cook. Look at the mess. Look, you know, you'd think the council would do something about that bird poop. You know, unless it's all recent, I suppose. But, you know, I'm thinking of the statue of Churchill in Parliament Square. I think I read that there's an electric current that runs through it that prevents bird poop from settling, but I don't actually know. But maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, that's Captain Cook. Of course, he used to live when he came here to do his apprenticeships and all that. He lived down there, which is now the Captain Cook Museum. That's where he used to live. And anyway, a few plaques here actually. In fact, one on each side. This one here was presented by the people of New Zealand in tribute to Captain Cook and the men who sailed with him on his voyages of discovery. In every situation he stood unrivaled and alone, on him all eyes were turned. Unveiled by the High Commissioner for New Zealand, 1984, April 1984. This one here, this plaque was presented by the people of Canada to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of Captain Cook. In French also. Oh, and then there above it is the Resolution. One of the 4 ships, all 4 ships actually were built in Whitby. This plaque here was presented by the people of Australia to commemorate the bicentenary of the discovery of the east coast of Australia by Captain James Cook. From this discovery emerged a nation. Again, this one is to commemorate the men who built the Whitby ships, the Endeavour, the Resolution, the Adventure, and the Discovery. Of course, behind is the Resolution. I'm wondering why on each side there isn't one of the 4 ships, but there we go. The ships were used by Captain James Cook and also the men who sailed with him on the greatest voyages of exploration of all time. Well, people who were astronauts about to head to Mars might say something different about that. Or Mars, or back to the moon, or you know, whatever's going on. I should say about this actually, in particular this one here. Unveiled 20th of April 1970. It's 53 years ago. You know, in these days, and of course, you know, I left Hawaii just 2 weeks ago, and I had been there for 2 months. And, you know, there's going to be some people that are not fully okay with what James Cook and his band of merry men did. I should say, not too many. That was in the minority, to be fair. Now I'm thinking now of Christopher Columbus and, you know, all these others. And, you know, of course there's going to be some controversy. And it is what it is, of course, right? We're sort of stuck with it, of course. But, you know, these people, they weren't everybody's heroes. But I have to say, for my 2 months in Hawaii, I, for the most part, got good vibes about James Cook. Which I didn't recall getting similar vibes, say, from Christopher Columbus, or when I was in the parts where he was. There's that ship right there. But, you know, what can we do, right? We're so, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? And of course, just behind, just behind the statue there, can't really see it from this angle, but let's walk over. There is the whalebone arch, because Whitby, like Maui, used to host whaling ships, and the ships used to come in here with whales, and if they hadn't already been killed, kill them. And I think mostly it was for the oil and other products as well, mind you, but I think mostly for the oil. And then of course what happened is the petroleum industry took off, then there was less demand for whale oil. And so that industry ceased here and also in Hawaii, particularly Maui actually, has to be said, particularly Maui. And that's the whalebone arch, and of course in some parts of the world they still do catch whales and kill them and all of that. Japan, Norway, probably other places as well. Anyway, so just wondering why the resolution of the 4 ships is there and the other 3 aren't, because the Endeavour's, I think, the most famous of them. That's the one, there's a replica Endeavour down in the harbour. Anyway, so this is the west cliff of Whitby, actually. So that direction is facing north. So East Cliffs would be in the sea. Okay, so this must be, that to me would be more south. Okay, have a look at this. West. I'm looking here, you see. Okay. There's north. Okay, W for west. Okay, so north is north, that's heading straight out. It's weird because, you know, Middlesbrough's up there, Scarborough's down there, so if anything you think that would be facing east. But according to this, it's north. It's just one of these tricks of the coastline, I guess. So these are the west cliffs. Over there you've got the east cliffs, and so you've got you can walk out to the breakers either side. But then once you're at the end of it, you can't cross over to the other side. There is no bridge that does that. It's a shame, but there you go. And there's the beach. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the beach I was referring to a few minutes ago. Right, well, again, you know, during summer, I'm sure it's probably packed with people on deck chairs and buckets and spades building sandcastles and devouring candy floss. Ugh. And there's the pirate ship. That looks as though it's coming back in. So maybe that's what the 20 minutes gets you. You just come out from there. You go out there, it takes 10 minutes to get out there, and you come back in. And I suppose the marketing people will say that you get a different perspective of Whitby, which I'm sure you do, actually. Anyway. Alrighty. And Uar, there she is. Feasts like pirates. Did you know the nickname of Bristol Rovers Football Club is the Pirates? And Plymouth Argyle's football team, that's called, isn't their nickname the Pirates or something? Something to do with that sort of thing, and that's all a reference to sort of what went on hundreds of years ago. And this is a replica. I'm sure it's of the Endeavour. It's believe it or not, it's not that well signposted. But anyway, and I'll tell you what this got me thinking about. That just by Canary Wharf in London, on the north side of the River Thames, there's a monument at a place called Virginia Quay. And that's because back in 1619, that's where the Mayflower departed from. Not sure if the monument is the exact place, you know, to the yard, or if it's close enough. And the monument was unveiled by the US ambassador, I don't know, 20 odd years ago, something like that. Anyway, and but of course, when the Pilgrims or the Puritans, you know, these things can get a bit murky, departed, they only went across one ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and it wasn't a voyage of discovery like Captain Cook's. Captain Cook was away for many years on his 3 expeditions, and of course he didn't really know what was upon him, so to speak. And he truly did, I mean, go out into that unknown, and the Pilgrims, of course, were almost certainly, or the Puritans, headed for Virginia, and no doubt because of the currents and what have you, they ended up in Massachusetts. And interestingly enough, actually, that monument, the one by Canary Wharf, is called Virginia Quay. It's not called Massachusetts Quay. But the Pilgrims, Puritans, they had some idea of where they were going, Virginia. I mean, they didn't actually get there, but at least that was their intention. whereas Cook had no idea. I mean, zero. I mean, zilch, nada, nothing. And you know, it got me thinking that, you know, these days it's not possible, is it, really, to go into have such a voyage of unknown unless you count space and also our own oceans, because you know we haven't really been, can't really, can we? Not right now. I mean, I suppose we could kind of. Yeah, whereas the Pilgrims Puritans, you know, it's slightly different, but nevertheless, I mean, it still wasn't an easy task, that's for sure. You know, I mean, it was 150 odd years before Cook. You know, obviously the technologies have changed in that time. But anyway, so yeah, it got me thinking about actually, you know, like where, if you know, on our planet, if we really wanted to explore something completely unknown, I mean, I suppose there are still one or two places, land somewhere, I guess, in the deserts or Antarctic, Arctic, you know, I mean, it still does exist, I guess, or say our own oceans. But, you know, from the point of view of sort of just getting a plane and, you know, renting a four-wheel drive and going off somewhere, you know, the options are limited, aren't they, on this planet? You know, if you want to do something that nobody's done before, you know, but say there are still possibilities. Anyway, let's find out what this is the Endeavour, right? Excuse me, could I have one of them?
Yeah.
This is the Endeavour, right? The replica,
yes, that's it,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's the.
That's
okay.
like breakfast and fish and chips.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. What's this cost to go in?
It's free to go in.
Oh, this one's free.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
There's a museum. So I just put sweet to them.
Oh, okay.
Museum, middle deck and the upper deck. That's straight. Then there's a bar grill. You know, hot and cold drinks and food.
Oh, that's not okay. All right. Good. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. I should say, there's lots of fish and chips around here. There's a place over to the left that claims to have won a national award in 2019. There's a place just there that just down there a couple hundred yards that won some sort of BBC award for the best chippy. It doesn't say which year, so depends how you look upon this sort of thing. Anyway, so I might go in, I suppose. Right? But there's the Endeavour. I was just thinking, actually, can you imagine being, you know, in a place like Hawaii or Tahiti or wherever, and you know, you're out in your little longboats, whatever they call them, and you saw something like this. You know, it's got to be a little intimidating, I suppose. Oh, another thing I should say that, yes, that monument to Captain Cook, there was something from Canada. That's because, of course, he did go to Canada. After Hawaii, he went to Russia, and then to what is now the west coast of Canada. There's a place there called Vancouver, which is named after, I don't know if it's one of Cook's crew. I think it was maybe a few years after Cook. And of course, Cook was trying to seek a passage through Canada to come out the other side onto the Atlantic. And of course he couldn't, so he had to go all the way back. But yeah, and of course the weather would have been a bit colder there, and you know, certainly not Tahiti, that's for sure. Yeah, so he truly did get around. And just a final thought, if I may, from the deck of the replica of the HM Bark Endeavour. Okay, for some reason the word bark, B-A-R-K, is put in front of the word Endeavour. Gotta be a reason. Can't be that difficult to find out why, but, and this sort of thing amuses me. Endeavour was not a big ship, but imagine if, as well as the 95 crew on board, there were sheep, pigs, chickens, goats, and on occasion cows. Cook left breeding pairs of pigs and sheep on the islands when they came ashore. That way, when they returned months and sometimes years later, there would be a supply of meat for the crew's table. And it makes perfect sense, doesn't it, you know? And yet somebody had to have that thought to do that. I mean, it's just a good idea. Now, of course, maybe on those islands today, there are some people complaining about the number of sheep and pigs and, you know, blaming Cook for it. I mean, life's not perfect, is it? You know. But anyway, so here we are on the stern of the HM Bark Endeavour. There's a, well, I guess that's unused RNLI boat, Royal National Lifeboat Institution. But they do have a museum about 300 yards down that way. For the most part, I do respect that organisation tremendously. I mean, there's been a few ifs in the last few years now because of what's going on with the boat people coming across from France and landing in Kent. But anyway, besides that, so Whitby, there's the train station, and just to the right of it, you can see those blue things. Those are buses, and so if you come by bus, which is what I did, that's where you get off. It's really, as you can see, it's really handy. Train station's right there, and all of this is right just outside, really. There's a supermarket there, actually, a co-op, and then you've got everything in front of you. That's the white bridge that takes you across to the other side. As far as I can see, I'm not sure, because there was no other bridges to the left of that. To the right, I don't know if there's something else down there that you could use to get across, but certainly that's it's also a car bridge as well, actually, vehicle bridge. Anyway, so but that noise, by the way, it's not coming from live animals. It's a recording. And 17 sheep. Cook left pigs in Tasmania, New Zealand and other islands. This ensured healthy populations for food on the return trip years later. I mean, how sensible. Now, of course, if they found the Northwest Passage, they wouldn't have actually had to go back. And of course, they were just getting the hang of longitude there, right? With the Pilgrims, there was no longitude, which is probably why they ended up in Massachusetts instead of Virginia. Part of what Cook was experimenting with, I mean, there was the transit of Venus, but there was also longitude. Of course, that was critical. That was critical. I mean, latitude was no problem, but of course you need both. I mean, you need both. I mean, it's not open to discussion. And so Cook was involved in the experiments. I think he used to take the latest technology as regards clocks aboard and experiment, and hopefully all was good. But so he got involved in that. It wasn't like you just go to foreign lands and rape, pillage, and plunder and all that like the Vikings and others. It wasn't that at all. I mean, there's probably a bit of that here and there, maybe, but anyway. So there's the Abbey up there, and I am going to go to the supermarket to get some. Later, gators.